he hasn't heard from her. So he kind of confides in Jace about what's been going on. And Jace, it's so funny because Jace was like, boop, it's happened to you. And it was just like, they all thought it was never going to happen to, Ash. And, it's like, bam, there it is. So Ash is like, me and Bethany are going to dinner. Like, maybe, you and your sister, can come along. Maybe that'll help you with that situation as well. And so he's like, okay, cool. So they go to Bryant Park Grill. And this was so neat when I saw this because I walked past there when I was in New York City. So that was kind of exciting to read about it. So during dinner, Ash gets a call from the investigator. And he's like, I just saw Josie leave the apartment. And she's got a black eye and a bruised lip. So when he saw her, she was on her way. Looks like she'd been doing a lot of painting as well. So she took a ton of stuff to the art gallery. So Ash leaves the dinner. And he heads straight to Josie's apartment. So he's waiting for her when she gets back. So he sees her. And it's true. She's been beaten up. And he's like, who the hell did this to you? And she's like, I can't have this conversation outside. Let's go inside in the apartment. She's like, and we'll talk. I will tell you everything. So they go inside. And then we find out what happened was Michael came back because to try and win her back. He didn't think she was serious about them being over. So he brought the diamond choker back and he was like, I understand what it means now. I can give that to you. And she made the comment to him, no, you're not that type of man. There's someone who can do this for me, and you're not that person. So automatically he's like, oh, so you've been cheating on me. And he went ballistic. And it was a whole nother side to him that she had never seen. And he beat the crap out of her, punching her. I mean, that's the reason she has a bust lip and black eyes, because he beat her up. So Ash, of course, is beyond pissed. And he's ready to kill. So he's like, listen, this is what's finna happen. I'm gonna pack you an overnight bag. You tell me what you want brought. And you're coming to my apartment. And she was stunned. But at the end of the day, this is what she wants. So the truth was, she was going to call Ash and tell him that it is a yes. But because she was all messed up, she didn't want to call that man like that. So she didn't call. He's like, no problem. What do you want in your overnight bag? He's like, and then we'll have someone come and move all the rest of your stuff tomorrow. Okay? He was like, this is it. Ash is that straight taking over. This is what's happening. And you know what? She was like, you know what? Screw it. Okay. So they go back to his apartment. And like I said, of course he wanted to kill him. And she of course is like, don't do anything. She didn't call the police or anything. She just didn't want to cause any problems. And that's just so sad that she was the one that was violated and hurt. And yet she wasn't trying to cause problems. It's just so sad. She's such a sweet girl. I felt bad for her. So they don't have sex that night. I mean, the girl's, she's fragile. So he's like, go put on some pajamas, clean yourself up, put on pajamas. And he was just going to hold her that night. He's like, but this is the last night that happens. He's like, because from here on out, I want you naked. I'm like, oh, wow. So the next day, he kind of lets her know what he requires. It's nothing really crazy. It's just, yes, he wants to know where you are. He wants to make sure you're safe. He wants to take care of all your needs. He's kinky, he likes to use, some, what is it? The paddles, he likes to see a little red on your ass. He's into that. So, he kind of tells her, and he doesn't say anything that she's against or that she doesn't agree with, because she's kinky too. So then they have a conversation about their kind of sexual past, and he lets her know, just letting you know, like, I've done like a ton of threesomes in my life. That's pretty much what me and my boy Jace used to do, is we did threesomes. And so she's like, okay, there's no judgment. She's like, I've, had a life before you, I'm not going to judge you. And so he's like, there's also something else I want to tell you about. He's like, my friends, they're my family. Okay. He's like, so I do need to I want to tell you about something because I don't want you to be blindsided. So he tells her about that whole first night threesome with Bethany and Jace. And he's like, I just want you to be aware. He's like, because, we're going to be around them. And I don't want you to feel some type of way. And she's like, okay. She's like, but she kind of noticed, like, when he spoke of Bethany, it's like fondness. So she was kind of like, okay. But do you, like, is there something you feel for? Like, I just want to make sure I know what's going on. And so he was just like, no. I love her. Like, she's family. Me and her have had our talk. We've discussed it. Everything's, we're fine. He's like, I just want you to know. I just don't want you to feel some type of way, And she's like, now, I'm not going to lie to you. It is probably going to be a little weird for me at first because she's had you, So, yeah, I might feel some type of way. She's like, but, I'm not going to embarrass her or anything, anything like that. So he lets her know, he says, I have a clean bill of health. He's like, but I can, get that from a doctor so you'll feel confident. He's like, because I don't want any barriers between us. So she's like, yeah, that's fine. And she's like, and I'll do the same. And she's like, I'm already on birth control, so at least we got one issue taken care of. So the next day, when he's at work, Ash asks Jace to be his alibi. Because he was like, he was going to personally take care of Michael. So he went to some goons that he knows who know how to make things happen. And he beat Michael to a pulp and told him if he thought of going near Josie again or going to the police, he will make his life a living hell. And he will basically use his resources to make him go live under a whole ass bridge. I was like, damn. So the next day, because one of the requirements was that, she wait for him when he comes home. He, calls her, lets her know he's coming home, and, she's waiting for him. And so she does that the next day, and she gives him this, of course, great mind-blowing blowjob. And at first it was like mind-blowing. Then you could kind of tell where her brain, like, you can kind of tell someone's like, okay, now they're not in it, like their brain is somewhere else. And so that's what he could tell. And he's like, what's going on? Like, and so she was like, you're not going to get mad at me because I did something wrong. And he's like, what are you talking about? You're not a child. Like, and so she told him, well, that's what Michael used to do to her. So then that let me know he wanted to know this wasn't not a side to him, because she said when she would do things that he didn't like, he would punish her, and like in a bad way. And so she was kind of worried, like, is that what Ash is, are you gonna do that to me? And he was like, oh my gosh. He's like, baby, he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, but no, that's not what it's about. He's like, it's about pleasure. He's like, if there's punishment, there's pleasure behind it. He's like, there's not. He's like, but I don't punish you because you've done something wrong. He's like, you're not a child. Like, that's not how this works. He's like, I'm so sorry you got like a messed up version of what this could be. This can be a very beautiful thing. And so she got okay after that. And yeah, they have a great night. He gets all the holes. And she loved it. And so then a couple days later, he tells her about a dinner, because Mia and Gabe have gotten married. They've been on their honeymoon for about 2 weeks. And so he's like, we're going to have, like a lunch with them, a dinner with them. And so she was kind of feeling uneasy about Bethany. And of course, he assured her, you ain't got, there's nothing to worry about. So then they go to dinner. and everything's great. Mia invites her to a girls' night out, and she accepts. So it's all going pretty good until they go to the bathroom. And so when she's coming out of the restroom, she sees Michael, and his face, he is beat up. And so of course she's like, "What happened to you?" And he looks terrified, and he like runs off. So when she gets back to the table, of course Ash can tell something's wrong because it's written all over her face. And he asks, he's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "I just saw Michael, and he was just beaten so bad." And so Ash is like, "Well, that's what he deserved." And she's like, "Did you have something to do with that?" And he's like, "Listen, I'm not going to lie to you." He's like, "But I also don't want to like give you any specifics either." And her thing was, she didn't really care that Michael was hurt. She was concerned that Ash was the one that did it, because she didn't want anything bad to happen to Ash, because the truth of the matter is he was defending her, because of what happened to her. So she just didn't want anything bad to happen to Ash. So Ash is, he assures her that, "Listen, everything will be fine, but I just could not let that guy go unpunished." And let's just leave it at that. So a few days later, then Ash goes and he has Josie meet Brittany for lunch. And so the meeting, it goes well. They're getting along and they're having a great time. And then their mother comes in. And she's pissed because she's been trying to get to Brittany. She's been calling Brittany. Brittany's been ignoring her, telling her to go away. And so the mother causes a whole ass scene in this restaurant. Because they're at the Bentley, which is, their actual hotel. And so she's causing a scene. She's like, "What are you doing? Like, you're working. That's so beneath you." And, she's yelling at Ash, like, "How dare you make your sister work? Like, she's some peasant." Like, she was just a whole mess. And then she's like, "And then you're having her meet your whores." And it was just so freaking awful. And so, Ash lost it. And he was like, "You know what? You get out." He's like, "Security, come get her." And she's like, "You wouldn't dare." And he's like, "Oh, yes, I will." He's like, and he told the security guys, "Take her out and you make sure, put her name, take a picture. I don't want her at any of my establishments anywhere." And they marched her little ass out. So after that scene, and then Josie invites Brittany to the all girls night out. Because, Brittany doesn't have any friends. So she's like, "Come with us." So they go on their girls' night out. It's Caroline's engagement. So Caroline's getting married to Brandon, the bouncer. And so Brittany winds up catching the eye. There's the club owner's name is Kai Williams. And so Brittany actually catches his eye. And it's an intense eye. And the minute he was looking at her, and the Brandon guy was like, "He's never like that with anybody. Like, this is weird." I was like, okay, I bet you he's a dominant. And so he's just zoned in on the one he wants, because the way he was reacting to her is the same way that Gabe reacted to Mia, Jace reacted to Bethany, and now Ash reacting to Josie. And so we find out that Caroline, she's going to move to Las Vegas because Kai's opening up a new club, and he wants Brandon to come with him, and he's going to give Brandon, a promotion and like double his salary. So he's going to get like a huge pay raise. So they're going to Vegas. So Mia's kind of sad about it, but at the same time she's happy because her friend has found her person. And so they get drunk. And Jace comes and Ash comes. They call Ash. They're like, "We're gonna need you to come get help with these women," because they were tore up. It was funny to read that part. But before Ash got there, he was back at his place, and he had got a visitor from his parents. And I was like, dang, his mom and his dad came to him. So Gabe came downstairs with him. This was before he actually got the call to go to the club. So his mom, they're there and they're begging him to come to dinner. with the grandfather. And so